we have another Lamba Labs speaker. He will show you some experimental things, and it will be only like 5 to 10 minute talk using JavaScript. Mark, le floor is yours.
What we're going to talk about right now is some experimental JavaScript. Okay, so everyone was talking about building JavaScript for mobile, theoretical JavaScript, and server JavaScript. That was pretty cool. So did you understand what Node was? Did everyone understand what Node was? It's JavaScript on the server. Okay, so first of all, my name is Mark or Kamicut, and you can find me on Twitter like that, Kamicut. So I'm gonna put all my GitHub code on github.com/Kamicut. You can follow me on Twitter /Kamicut. Okay. So what are we gonna do? Who knows about Arduino? Not many people. Okay, so Arduino is a hardware device that was built by some really cool people to facilitate hardware prototyping for everyday people. Like, you don't need to know a lot of hardware to program the Arduino. It uses a small subset of C++, and basically you say these pins are inputs, these pins are outputs, and then I'm going to say 5 volts to this pin, 0 volts to this pin, and then you can get a sensor, plug it in, and a light on the other side, and then you can write some really easy code to build some hardware devices. So web developers saw this and they said, hey, why don't we put JavaScript in this? And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. It's how to control an Arduino using JavaScript. I don't see you guys are excited, so I'll just continue. Yeah, JavaScript on this thing. Come on. Okay. So first of all, let me show you how Arduino Code looks like. This is Arduino Code. Here I'm defining the LED to be pin 7. Okay? I put a light on pin 7. Then how we're going to communicate with this device is through the USB, which is called serial communication. So we start the serial. We put the pin 7 to be an output pin. And then we start reading from the USB. And we say, if serial.available, read the byte. Okay, and for that byte, that we map it between 0 and 9. Okay, turn on and turn off the LED. Okay, digital write, LED high, delay 200 milliseconds, digital write, LED low, delay 200 milliseconds. Okay? So I'm going to send stuff through the USB and you're going to see the light turn on, hopefully. But live demos never work. So if I send a 1, can you see this? Can everyone see this in the back? If I send an 8, okay, it turned on 8 times. Right? I'm sure you didn't count that. Okay? So this is pretty cool because this is the Arduino code that this was built to program this hardware, and this was C++ code. How can we hook up JavaScript to this, and why would we do that in the first place? We're going to use Node because Node, since it was built on top of V8, which is C++, it can access the USB on your computer. It can access the serial port. Okay, and that's pretty cool. because now you can build a robot, hook it up through USB to your computer, and then start sending commands using whatever language you want, whether Ruby or JavaScript. But right now we're going to pick JavaScript. I'm going to show you the Node stuff. Okay, so how do I remove the console? Okay, so this is Node code. Like Derek explained, Node is built on V8 to be a server, right? Yeah? Okay. First, we'll define where my USB is. This is USB modem 1421. Okay? Then we'll start. You remember what require is from Derek because you were awake. And that's the serial port. It's downloading the serial library, getting the serial port class, and then we start a new serial connection. Now, let me tell you why Node is interesting for this stuff, why JavaScript is interesting for building robots. JavaScript is really interesting because it's event-based, right? You've got the .on paradigm. You've got when you're writing. I know, right? Hello. Okay. So. Okay. So when you're writing, who's written C++ code before, or Java? It's kind of difficult to start writing evented code, and it's not really intuitive. So when you start writing in JavaScript, you've got this really easy facility of throwing around callbacks. Like Jad explained, since JavaScript functions are first citizens in the language, you can start throwing around functions within functions, right? So this is really interesting because when you have a sensor, you want to do sensor.on, give me another function, right? Or turn on this light, or on data received, do this other thing. That's why JavaScript is pretty cool for building robots. So let me continue in the code. We start the serial connection, serial.onOpen, and then I can say that I can start sending data. Now, right now, how are we going to send data through Node to the USB to turn on the lights? We're going to build a small server with a REST API. Who knows what a REST API is? For those that don't know, it's to be able to trigger functions on the server through the URL. Okay? So if you see now Facebook, you go to facebook.com/home. The URL determines the server function that you're getting that page. It can either be rendered on the template in a templated way, like Derek explained, or it can be rendered in the client. Anyway, it's a long discussion. What you're going to do is you're going to send a get to our URL, okay? And it's going to trigger a function on the server. So we're building the REST API this way. When you get slash and then column a number, that means that this is a parameter. So I'm going to get /0 or /1 or /8, okay? Serial.write request.params.number. That means it parsed that number from the URL, and it sends it through serial port. And since we opened the serial connection to the USB, since we opened a connection to the USB, this will send it directly to the Arduino. So let's try it out. So you start the app, it starts the server listening on 8080, and then it opens the serial port. And then you just go to your browser. And if you look at the Arduino, that's it. So I sent /3, it turns on the light 3 times. So /6 turns on the light 6 times. So this is pretty cool. You've got a server written in JavaScript, accepting requests from a browser, or curl, if you want to go command line, and triggering code on an external hardware device. Now, what if we could make this hardware device a robot? Like a full-fledged robot that can move its arms and respond to commands, etc., and send back data to your server. This would be really, really cool. And people built a library called Johnny 5 based on this simple principle that we connected the serial to the Arduino, we received the incoming bytes, and then we activated some C++ code that's on the hardware. And then we send it from Node.js. So this is Johnny 5. And it's really simple. You require Johnny 5. You create a new Arduino board. On ready, you do new this board.led13. That means the pin 13 dot strobe, which will make it blink. Party time. And you can look at this library. I'm going to link it to the code later. And that's about it. That's all I wanted to teach you. I wanted to teach you, tell you about how you can use JavaScript to program external devices to create cool robots. And that's it. That's all my talk. So do you have any questions? Yeah.
If you want to output, if you are receiving data from Arduino.
Yeah. So if you. Yeah. So right here, I just console.log the received 54, which was output here. I received, and then the incoming byte. So I just created an echo right here of the incoming byte, but you could always do serial.println, give me another command, which.
On the browser, so you can read on the browser.
So this is in the browser. This is the server that's running on your machine, right?
But you sent a command using the browser. Ideally, you build a web app that would control the robot, send and receive. From your mobile, perhaps, and software.io.
So the way you would be able to do you would do that, I think, is to have realize that this is a server on your machine, right? Then that would be your machine's hosting the website, and that's not really ideal, right? So if you want to make it as a web app that you can distribute to clients, then it would be better if you had this node receiving a socket connection. And like Derek said, you would have a WebSocket server and then sending it back to the Node.js server, and then the Node.js server activating your machine. Do you get what I mean? So you'd have two servers. One that serves the web app and receives and sends the data, then a data pipe to this Node.js app that's controlling the robot. I think that. Okay, any other question? Do you have any other question about JavaScript? No? Okay. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you guys for coming. I would like to thank Coworking 961, which were the host of this event. I would like to thank Lamba Labs for providing their Menaversity talks on the event. I would like to thank GDG, Google Developer Group Beirut, not by health. And gotta keep on doing events and get bigger. So stay tuned. Thank you all. Oh yeah, and last but not least, this video was shot by Menaversity.com. You can go to this website to find your videos. So thanks again, and until the next time, keep on writing code in JavaScript.